effect to this?
I am Ra. Yes, there are ways of aiding the mental emotional state of this entity with the notation that this is so only for this entity or one of like distortions. There is also a general thing which may be accomplished to improve the location, which is called the hospital. The first aiding has to do with the vibration of the ritual with which this entity is most familiar, and which this entity has long used to distort its perception of the one infinite creator. This is a helpful thing at any point in the diurnal period, but is especially helpful as your sun body removes itself from your local site. The general improvement of the place of the performance of the ritual of the purification of the place is known. We may note that the distortion towards love, as you call this spiritual emotional complex, which is felt by each for this entity, will be of aid whether this is expressed or unmanifest, as there is no protection greater than love.
Do you mean that it would be valuable to perform the banishing ritual of the lesser pentagram in the room that she will be occupying in the hospital?
I am Ra. This is correct.
I was wondering about the operating room. That might be very difficult. Would it be helpful there?
I am Ra. This is correct. We may note that it is always helpful. Therefore, it is not easy to posit a query to which you would not receive the answer which we offer. This does not indicate that it is essential to purify a place. The power of visualization may aid in your support where you cannot intrude in your physical form.
I see the way to do this as a visualization of the operating room and a visualization of the three of us performing the banishing ritual in the room as we perform it in another location. Is this the correct procedure?
I am Ra. This is one correct method of achieving your desired configuration.
Is there a better method than that?
I am Ra. There are better methods for those more practiced. For this group, this method is well.
I would assume those more practiced would leave their physical bodies and in the other body enter the room and practice the banishing ritual. Is this what you mean?
I am Ra. This is correct.
The instrument would like to know if she can meditate in the hospital without someone holding her hand. And would this be a safe practice?
I am Ra. We might suggest that the instrument may pray with safety, but only meditate with another entity's tactile protection.
The instrument would like to know what she can do to improve the condition of her back, as she says it could be a problem for the operation.
I am Ra. As we scan the physical complex, we find several factors contributing to one general distortion experienced by the instrument. Two of these distortions have been diagnosed, one has not, nor will the entity be willing to accept the chemicals sufficient to cause cessation of this distortion you call pain. In general, we may say the sole modality addressing itself specifically to all three contributing distortions, which is not now being used, is that of the warmed water, which is moved with gentle force repeatedly against the entire physical complex while the physical vehicle is seated. This would be of some aid if practiced daily after the exercise period.
Did the exercise of the fire that was just performed before the session help the instrument?
I am Ra. There are some slight physical aid to the instrument. This will enlarge itself as the practitioner teaches its healing art. Further, there is distortion in the mental emotional complex which feeds the vital energy towards comfort due to support, which tends to build up the level of vital energy as this entity is a sensitive instrument.
Was the exercise of fire properly done?
I am Ra. The baton is well visualized. The conductor will learn to hear the entire score of the great music of its art.
I assume that if this can be fully accomplished today, that exercise would result in total healing of the distortions of the instrument to such an extent that operations would be unnecessary. Is this correct?
I am Ra. No.
What else is necessary? The instrument's acceptance?
I am Ra. This is correct. The case with this instrument being delicate, since it must totally accept much which the limitations it now experiences cause to occur involuntarily. This is a pre-incarnative choice.
The instrument would like to know why twice at the Benedictus portion of the music that she practices did she experience what she believes to be a psychic attack.
I am Ra. This is not a minor query. We shall first remove the notations which are minor. In the vibrating, which you call singing, of the portion of what this instrument hallows as the Mass, which immediately precedes that which is the chink called the Hosanna, there is an amount of physical exertion required that is exhausting to any entity. This portion of which we speak is termed the Sanctus. We come now to the matter of interest. When the entity Jehoshua decided to return to the location called Jerusalem for the holy days of its people, it turned from work mixing love and wisdom and embraced martyrdom, which is the work of love without wisdom. The Hosanna, as it is termed, and the following Benedictus is that which is the written summation of what was shouted as Jehoshua came into the place of its martyrdom. The general acceptance of this shout, Hosanna to the Son of David, Hosanna in the highest, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, by that which is called the Church, has been a misstatement of occurrence, which has been perhaps unfortunate, for it's more distorted than the much of the so-called Mass. There were two factions present to greet Jehoshua. Firstly, a small group of those which hoped for an earthly king. However, Jehoshua rode upon an ass, stating by its very demeanor that it was no earthly king, and wished no fight with Roman or Sadducee. The greater number were those who had been instructed by rabbi and elder to make jest of this entity, for those of the hierarchy feared this entity, who seemed to be one of them, giving respect to their laws, and then, in their eyes, betraying those time-honored laws and taking the people with it. The chink for this instrument is this subtle situation which echoes down through your space-time, and, more than this, the place the Hosanna holds as the harbinger of that turning to martyrdom. We may speak only generally here. The instrument did not experience the full force of the greeting which it correctly identified during the Hosanna, due to the intense concentration necessary to vibrate its portion of that composition. However, the Benedictus in this particular rendition of these words is vibrated by one entity. Thus, the instrument relaxed its concentration and was immediately open to the fuller greeting.
The chink, then, as I understand it, was originally created by the decision of Jesus to take the path of martyrdom. Is this correct?
I am Ra. This is in relation to this instrument quite correct. It is aware of certain overbalances toward love, even to martyrdom, but has not yet to any significant degree balanced these distortions. We do not imply that this course of unbridled compassion has any fault, but affirm its perfection. It is an example of love which has served as a beacon to many. For those who seek further, the consequences of martyrdom must be considered, for in martyrdom lies the end of the opportunity. In the density of the martyr to offer love and light, each entity must seek its deepest path.
Let me see if I understand, then, how the Orion group finds a chink in this distortion. The entity identifying or having a distortion of any amount towards martyrdom is then opened by its free will to the aid of the Orion group to make it a martyr. Am I correct?
I am Ra. You are correct only in the quite specialized position in which the instrument finds itself, that is, of being involved in and dedicated to work which is magical or extremely polarized in nature. This group entered this work with polarity, but virtual innocence as to the magical nature of this polarity it is beginning to discover.
How was the Orion entity able to act through this linkage of the hosanna? Was this simply because of the mental distortion of the instrument at this period of time, because of that suggested by the music? Or was it a more physical or more metaphysical link from the time of Christ?
I am raw. Firstly, the latter supposition is false. This entity is not linked with the entity Jehoshua. Secondly, there is a most unique circumstance. There is an entity which has attracted the attention of an Orion light being. This is extremely rare. This entity has an intense devotion to the teachings and example of the one it calls Jesus. This entity then vibrates in song, a most demanding version called the Mass in B minor by Bach. Of this exemplary votive complex of sound vibrations, the entity is consciously identifying with each part of this Mass. Only thusly was the chink made available. As you can see, it is not an ordinary occurrence and would not have happened had any ingredient been left out: exhaustion, bias and belief complexes, attention from an Orion entity, and the metaphysical nature of that particular set of words.
What was the Orion entity's objective with respect to the entity you spoke of, who, in a demanding manner, sings the Mass?
I am raw. The Orion entity wishes to remove the instrument.
Is this a fourth or a fifth density entity?
I am raw. This instrument is being greeted by a fifth density entity which has lost some polarity due to its lack of dictatorship over the disposition of the instrument's mind, body, spirit, or its yellow ray activated physical complex.
You are speaking of this other person now that is singing the Mass. This is correct?
I am raw. No.
I think there was a little miscommunication here. The other person who sings the Mass, who helped in creating this chink, you said was also greeted by an Orion entity. And my question was, what density was that entity that greets the person who sings the Mass?
I am raw. We did not speak of any entity but the instrument.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought you were speaking of someone else in the singing group who had been the one you were speaking of regarding the identification with the singing. The entire time we were speaking then, we were speaking only of the instrument Carla. Is this correct?
I am raw. This is correct.
I am sorry for the confusion. Sometimes, as you say, sound vibration complexes are not very adequate, and I am sorry. You made the statement in a previous session that the true adept lives more and more as it is. Will you explain and expand upon that statement?
I am raw. Each entity is the creator. The entity, as it becomes more and more conscious of itself, gradually comes to the turning point at which it determines to seek either in service to others or in service to self. The seeker becomes the adept when it has balanced with the minimal adequacy the energy centers red, orange, yellow, and blue, with the addition of the green for the positive, thus moving into indigo work. The adept then begins to do less of the preliminary or outer work having to do with function and begins to effect the inner work which has to do with being. As the adept becomes a more and more consciously crystallized entity, it gradually manifests more and more of that which is always has been since before time, that is, the one infinite creator.
The answer to this question probably has to do with our distorted view of time, but I see wanderers in this density who have come from fifth or sixth density. It seems to me that they should already be of a relatively high degree of adeptness and must follow a slightly or somewhat different path back to the adeptness that they previously had in a higher density and get as close to it as they can in third density. Is this correct?
I am raw. Your query is less than perfectly focused. We shall address the subject in general. There are many wanderers whom you may call adepts who do no conscious work in the present incarnation. It is a matter of attention. One may be a fine catcher of your game sphere, but if the eye is not turned as this sphere is tossed, then perchance it will pass the entity by. If it turned its eye upon the sphere, catching would be easy. In the case of wanderers which seek to recapitulate the degree of adeptness which each had acquired previous to this life experience, we may note that even after the forgetting process has been penetrated, there is still the yellow ray activated body which does not respond as does the adept which is of a green or blue ray activated body. Thusly, you may see the inevitability of frustrations and confusions due to the inherent difficulties of manipulating the finer forces of consciousness through the chemical apparatus of the yellow ray activated body.
You probably cannot answer this, but are there any suggestions you could give with respect to the instrument's coming hospital experience that could be of benefit for her?
I am Ra. We may make one suggestion and leave the remainder with the Creator. It is well for each to realize itself as the Creator. Thusly, each may support each, including the support of self by humble love of self as Creator.
You spoke in a previous session about certain Hebrew and Sanskrit sound vibratory complexes being powerful because they were mathematically related to that which was the creation. Could you expand on this understanding, please, as to how these are linked?
I am Ra. As we previously stated, the linkage is mathematical, or that of the ratio. You may consider it musical. There are those whose mind complex activates would attempt to resolve this mathematical ratio, but at present the coloration of the intoned vowel is part of the vibration which cannot be accurately measured. However, it is equivalent to types of rotation of your primary material particles.
If these sounds are precisely vibrated, then what effect or use would they have with respect to the purposes of the adept?
I am Ra. You may consider the concept of sympathetic resonance. When certain sounds are correctly vibrated, the creation sings.
Would these sounds then be of a musical nature, in that there would be a musical arrangement of many different sound vibrations? Or would this apply to just one single note? Or which would it apply more to?
I am Ra. This query is not easily answered. In some cases, only the intoned vowel has effect. In other cases, most notably Sanskrit combinations, the selection of harmonic intervals is also of resonant nature.
Then would the adept use this resonant quality to become more one with the creation and therefore attain his objective in that way?
I am Ra. It would, perhaps, be more accurate to state that in this circumstance, the creation becomes more and more contained within the practitioner. The balance of your query is correct.
Could you tell me the musical name of the notes to be intoned that are of this quality?
I am Ra. We may not.
I didn't think that you would, but I thought it wouldn't hurt to ask. Then I assume that these must be sought out and determined by empirical observation of their effect by the seeker. Is this correct?
I am Ra. This is partially correct. As your seeking continues, there will be added to empirical data that acuity of sensibility which continued working in the ways of the adept offers.
The three aspects of the magical personality are stated to be power, love, and wisdom. Is this correct? And are these the only primary aspects of the magical personality?
I am Ra. The three aspects of the magical personality, power, love, and wisdom, are so called in order that attention be paid to each aspect in developing the basic tool of the adept, that is, itself. It is by no means a personality of three aspects. It is being of unity, being of sixth density, and equivalent to what you call your higher self, and at the same time is a personality enormously rich in variety of experience and subtlety of emotion. The three aspects are given that the neophyte not abuse the tools of its trade, but rather approach those tools balanced in the center of love and wisdom, and thus seeking power in order to serve.
You mentioned in an earlier session that the hair was an antenna. Could you expand on that statement as to how that works?
I am raw. It is difficult to do so due to the metaphysical nature of this antenna effect. Your physics are concerned with measurements in your physical complex of experience. The metaphysical nature of the contact of those in time-space is such that the hair, as it has significant length, becomes as a type of electrical battery which stays charged and tuned and is then able to aid contact even when there are small anomalies in the contact.
Well, is there an optimum length of hair for this aid?
I am raw. There's no outer limit on length, but the, shall we say, inner limit is approximately 4 to 4.5 inches, depending upon the strength of the contact and the nature of the instrument.
May anyone in third density accomplish some degree of healing if they have the proper will, desire, and polarity, or is there a minimal balance of the energy centers of the healer that is also necessary?
I am raw. Any entity may at any time instantaneously clear and balance its energy centers. Thus, in many cases, those normally quite weakened and distorted may, through love and strength of will, become healers momentarily. To be a healer by nature, one must indeed train itself in the disciplines of the personality.
How does the use of the magical ritual of invoking the magical personality aid the mind, body, spirit complex totality? Could you expand on the answer you gave in the last session with respect to that?
I am raw. When the magical personality is properly and efficaciously invoked, the self has invoked its higher self. Thus, a bridge betwixt space-time and time-space is made, and the sixth density magical personality experiences directly the third density catalyst for the duration of the working. It is most central to deliberately take off the magical personality after the working in order that the higher self resumes its appropriate configuration as analog to the space-time mind-body-spirit.
Then you are saying that the act, the signal, or the key for the invoking of the magical personality, which is the putting something on or a gesture, should be as carefully, you should as carefully take that something off or reverse the gesture, perhaps at the end of the invocation. Is this correct?
I am raw. This is correct. It should be fastidiously accomplished either in mind or by gesture, as well if this is of significant aid.
Now, the invocation of the magical personality is not necessarily effective for the neophyte. Is there a point at which there is a definite quantum change and that magical personality does then reside? Or can it be done in small degrees or percentages of magical personality as the neophyte becomes more adept?
I am raw. The latter is correct.
Then is it correct that a good sequence for developing the invocation of the magical personality are alternate meditations, first on power, then a meditation on love, and then a meditation on wisdom, and to continue cycling that way? Is that an appropriate technique?
I am Ra. This is indeed an appropriate technique. In this particular group, there is an additional aid in that each entity manifests one of these qualities in a manner which approaches the archetype. Thusly, visualization may be personalized and much love and support within the group generated.
Is the exercise of fire the best for the instrument, or is there anything better that we should do other than, of course, the things that you have already suggested to aid the instrument?
I am Ra. Continue as you are at present. We cannot speak of the future as we may then affect it, but there is a great possibility if you follow the path which you now tread, that more efficacious methods for the entire group will be established. This instrument begins to show rapid distortion towards increase of pain. We therefore would offer time for any brief queries before we leave this working.
Is there anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or improve the contact?
I am Ra. You are conscientious. The alignments are well. I am Ra. I leave you, my friends, in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite creator, Adonai.
So it is.
All right. Great.
Okay, Shakespeare's like that was awesome, actually. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for doing that. We finally got in the car.
I
Cool.
enjoyed
Trying
that.
to help land nav, or yeah. But anywho, yeah, is Mike still here?
I gotta be right back.
There he
I
is.
gotta check on the kids. Okay.
Okay, Mike's going to start us with a prayer if he's here. There you are. Hey, Mike. Or not? Or is that me frozen? Probably me frozen.
We can't.
I'm
hear you.
here. I'm here. It's just my microphone. All right. I'm gonna do the prayer tonight.
Damn, he looks like he can murder someone right there. Sorry, I was just noting Mitch's face. He was like he was ready to murder someone. At least I'm honest. I'm kidding. All right, go ahead, Mike. Your floor
all
is
right.
yours.
Hold on. Can you hear? Tell me if you can hear this.
Nope, can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No, I cannot.
You guys can hear that, right?
Of course,
All
we
right.
can, bud. You're up.
All right. So this is gonna be your heartbeat. This is at least the closest thing to my heartbeat, but
According to that, you're not alive.
I don't know if you want to.
yeah, I'm not doing the math. I'm not gonna do the math, but you know, all right, I'm just going to skip that part. Tonight, let us join in hearts in unity and harmony. Tonight, let us recognize the truth that lies within all of us. Tonight, let's recognize each other as the inner truth. Let us recognize each other in one spirit. The one spirit that sees no separation. Like the beating of the drum, let us sync our hearts together as one. Let us give us thanks to the one source, the one love, and the one heart. Let us bathe in love. Let us fly in truth. As a union has been recognized. As within any information you will ever listen to, your discernment is needed here. Let us go of what does not let go of what does not resonate, and let us hold on to what is and what does resonate, like a piece of a puzzle. Let's remind ourselves that the stories we tell ourselves of who we think we are in the past can change at the snap of a finger. Let us forgive. Let us forgive each other, and more importantly, let us forgive ourselves. Thanks to the knowledge that we have gained through the channeling of the entity known as Ra, Let us dance in love and let us pull ourselves up from the swimming in the swamps of fear, hate, and anger and jealousy. Let us see let us see only flesh. Finally, let's give thanks to the one you you know who you are, the spirit inside which knows no separation. Amen.
So it is.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
That's really good. Thank you for that, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. So what do you guys want to talk about? What did you hear that was that spoke out to you? Of course,
would
I'm
like
not gonna lie,
to-
I was in and out of it.
Yeah, I would like to open here with something that is very, very dear to me. And it goes back to the question where it says, what else is necessary for the instruments to fully heal, which was acceptance. And I'm going to talk here from personal experiences where I was diagnosed with lupus and I completely healed myself from it. I had 4 years ago a stroke, a massive stroke where I was not supposed to be walking, talking, eating by myself. And I've pretty much recovered from it. And this summer, I contracted COVID pretty heavily. And for me, I am considered as very at risk for the COVID. And through the infection, I had absolutely no symptoms. And a couple of weeks ago, my daughter contracted COVID again. And this time around, every single day, I tested negative, even though I was the prime caregiver for her. And I agree, in all instances, I always, always accepted the diagnosis, the illness, whatever. And I just followed the flow and took wisdom out of it, and always saw at every instances as a way to upgrade my body, to bring more wisdom into my life. And obviously there's always a reason to every illnesses, as we have learned in previous chapters. There's always a consequence that actually brings the illness. So I really wanted to bring that on. So I wanted to know if anybody had this type of experiences as well, where in total acceptance, they fully healed.
I want to say
Beautiful.
I'm pretty sure I went through the same exact experience too. I mean, a little differently. God, I love Susanna. She's so awesome. Anyways, because when I was sick, I had cancer twice. I still have one, but I knew instantly. I never gave it power. Like I just knew that I was going to be okay. That I think there's a big difference between people's ability to heal themselves, because I believe everyone has the ability, right? But I think it comes down obviously to thought and how powerful it can be. And it's hard when you are being met with, especially like life-threatening type of diseases, cancer, lupus, all this stuff, right? It's hard not to stay away from that narrative, or to not to kind of entertain that idea. And I think when you don't, and you have that acceptance of, okay, this is what it is, but you're not accepting, you're not given accepting defeat to it though, right? You're just I think there's that plays a significant role in someone's ability to heal themselves and to come out standing on top. I think once you kind of open yourself up to that okay, I'm gonna be defeated by this, or even we all have those lapses. Well, I can't say we all, because I didn't have that during my illness, but I mean, I've had it in different instances in life, whatever, right? But it really is the power of thought, and just like she was pointing out, acceptance. And by the way, that was pretty awesome. When she went through this, we were all part of that journey, like watched her go through, and she really did. She's like, I got a message, to accept it in, and use it as a way, like, I don't even know. It was pretty awesome though. She manipulated it, took control, and I don't know, that woman's a warrior over there, to be quite honest. So yeah, I love her. She's gonna be like, you're gonna make me cry. Don't do it.
I would also have to say, yeah, I've had that experience of healing through just, going with the flow and not fighting the tide, and letting whatever is happening pass through you and not fight it, because that's what you need to do, is be there and face it, right? So in a way, it's really the only way, in that term, I believe. That's all.
Trevor, your turn.
I find in the healing that I do, in the work that I do, the biggest healing comes from those who are accepting of the results and of their circumstance, and are willing to open up to the potentials. Even if most of them look bad, there's always that one or two that are there that look good, so if we can just accept and then leave that open to, our guardians, our higher selves, our, Ra, or all of the different logos, whoever is responsible for it is also us in some other form or another. And I kind of encapsulated it beautifully one day when I was trying to explain the exact same concept to somebody, when I said, it's almost like we don't create anything. We're not actually the creators. It happens through us. We're vessels. The creation happens through us. What we do is actually prevent it from happening. And all we need to do is let go. And it just sort of happens, and that's poetry of it all. But I have another subject shift whenever we're ready.
Okay, I think
Ed?
Ed,
Go ahead.
yeah. You're muted, Ed.
Hello, yay. Yeah, okay, so this is one of those subjects, the healing thing, and what Ra says about kind of the acceptance, and this is one of these things that we could actually talk about like all night, because there's so much to that. That's so much in the, like the whole idea of acceptance in the self and allowing these things to happen. You can be viewed different ways. Like if you're doing healing with somebody, like the other week when he was talking about moving the energy around in the specific pattern and moving it up from the root, and so that it hit all the corners so you can project it out. All of that process of you beaming the energy outwards, it needs to be accepted by the person that you're beaming it into. Otherwise, it's not going to do anything anyway. So yeah. So there's anyway, like I said, there's loads to this. I got kind of bogged down in it. Because okay, so looking at this kind of like from the other perspective, of kind of how we heal ourselves, and how we're able to do this, like physiologically. Like, has anyone ever read the Celestine Prophecy? Has anyone read that book? Is no? Okay, so in that he talks about how not only can we heal ourselves and change things beforehand, but we only ever get ill and we only ever get any problems if we kind of allow those things to manifest in our body anyway. So, all of this whole process, whether bad things happen, like Ra says, Ra talks about how, cancer and other diseases are manifestations of negative emotions that we've held onto and have festered into something physical inside the body, So the way that he talks about it in the book is, if you like fall over and you fall down on the ground, the instant that you hit the ground, you don't know whether you've hurt yourself, you don't know whether you've broken anything, you don't know what it is, but if you fall down and you just think, oh my god, I've broken my arm, I've broken all my fingers, or whatever, then you'll get up and everything will be broken or whatever. But if you just fall down and be like, no, that's fine, I'll be fine, then out of X amount of situations, you're absolutely fine, and there's nothing, because you haven't accepted that as part of the damage. But then it goes the other way. When things do manifest and these things turn up, if you accept those for what they are, then you can move on because it's the emotional thing. Does he say in there something about how the healers, the main thing they have to do is work on their personality and work on their inner work of you, who you are, opening up the chakras and opening up the energies to clear out the distortions in the physical form so that you can heal. Like the bit where he said about like any entity at all, doesn't matter whether you've done it before, whether you're trained, whether you know stuff, any entity at all can become a healer by balancing those energy centers and being able to believe and know inside themselves and heal themselves. But I think what he was talking about is it comes down to that kind of pure belief and understanding and acceptance of the situation for what it actually is, rather than the damage to the physical form, which is how we perceive it. Anyway, yeah, sorry. Like I said, this is one we could go on about, because I could then start talking about how sound vibrations and quantum orchestrated reality and the vibrations that actually make up what we perceive in different dimensions also affect water and also affect the body inside us. So by thinking in the right way and processing and pushing thought around your body, you should be able to heal and change these things with nothing but thought. And I'm not talking about whatever. We're talking about the actual science, the way that it's going. It completely points to how this is how it should work. We've just never been able to see it before. Anyway, sorry, I could go on about this all night. Just ignore me. You guys were awesome. Sorry. I just hate to just keep going on.
It's all good.
God, Ed, shut up.
All right.
You're awesome, Ed. You're awesome, Ed. Okay, so in order of appearance, it would be Robert, Israel, Amy, and then Mike.
Yeah, hi, and thanks, Ed. We always love to hear you. Don't apologize for yourself. I just wanted to say an experience I've had before I encountered the law of one material, the raw contact, in this physical expression you're seeing of me. Before I have learned of this stuff, I was dabbling in other things, between holographic universe and just all sorts of belief systems that are all melding together into a beautiful vision of my reality. And what I discovered was every time I would like bump my leg on something or hit my hand on something, and you would get that throbbing ache that would maybe continue for a while. Your body's constantly saying, I hit something, it hurts. I realized if I instantly told that part of my body that the rest of the body loves it and understands it hit something, and it does not need to keep telling us that it is feeling pain, because we saw what it went through and we understand. So you can stop telling us that there's pain, and we love you and we're thankful you're there, and the pain would stop. And it was just a little technique. It doesn't work if you're going to break a bone or something. I haven't tried it. I don't know if it would work. But on just life's little bangs and scrapes, I found it works wonderful. It really does. Just communicating with my physical form in a loving, understanding way, knowing that they're all these parts, these separate entities that make up this physical body are all communicating with each other and doing their jobs, and some are sleeping, some are healing, some are doing whatever they're doing. And it's just being in loving communication and understanding with them, and actually communicating with them, talking to them makes a big difference. I've been doing that for years, and I found it very interesting and it's fun, and I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
so
Robert. Israel, you're next.
yeah, so to comment on what Susanna was bringing up, from my experience, I went through, one of those life-altering situations or conditions, and like we're all talking about, you know, manifesting into our own reality, how that works, how we perceive it, how we our understanding of it, our perception of it. And for me, it was one of the things where once I realized that the fear that came with it was built by me, I created it for myself, and I let it go. And I was no longer fearful of an outcome. I was just, let's heal, let's work on that, let's do whatever it is, let's do a little research, but it wasn't until I didn't have any fear from it as a whole did I come to understand, oh look, now it's going away, or oh, now it's different. And I've been able to heal from 2 or 3 different life-changing or altering things just because of that point where it's about the acceptance, like we were talking about before. And once you've accepted it and you don't have a fear of it anymore, you're able to um, manifest that better destiny, or that other path that helps to eliminate whatever that was that you were, that catalyst that you just walked into.
Go ahead, Amy. Thank you, Israel.
So what I have to talk about is totally off the subject, and it is totally weird, and it's okay if you don't believe me, but I hope that you believe me. But every day that LL Research has posted from Quo or Raw, it is indeed about my life. It is indeed about everything I'm going through. No, down to the T. Not just relatable, it is my life. They are talking about me. When they talk about double polarities, they're talking about me and my husband. And this is in relation to show someone knows about how the government has been able to hack into the channeling. And then in fact, they are not channeling Raw and Quo. They're channeling something else. And this is all going to be to prove that the government got into the channeling and hasn't been able to get any more information than what they have in the past because of the hack. I know it sounds just as crazy coming out of my mouth, but this is what has happened in my life. And that is what I ended up channeling. And it wasn't Raw. It was these other people. And they're saying like I'm the only vibration on the planet that could hack into that. And my code classified name was Snowpiercer. If I come up missing, then all this stuff is true. But either way, I'll keep posting on LL Research, and I'm going to come up with my own YouTube so you can see for yourself or whatever.
I wanted to make sure I didn't miss what you were saying. So you're channeling, who are you? How do they identify themselves? Is that what you said? You're channeling, correct, Amy? And don't ever
Yes.
think like nobody's going to not believe you. Like
well, thank you.
No?
Actually, they identify themselves as the Italian government.
As the what?
Italian government.
Oh, okay.
But they're very, there were many people trying to come in on me. Besides them, they're very elite people. I had someone of high-ranking military come in on me. They like call me an angel, and they wanted to see me do sexual things to myself. There is elite people. They paid high dollar to see through my eyes. Trust me, like I do not have that high of an ego of myself. This is what happened. That's what I was able to sense and pick up. It is so weird that I don't believe it myself.
Are you still trying? Are you still connecting to these people? I mean,
yes, they even told me to say this tonight, and I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. Oh, and they already asked me to start a Facebook or a YouTube. I'm sorry.
Have you done?
Hold on. My question to you is that I understand. Like, it sounds to me that they aren't of a benevolent. Obviously, if they're asking you to do like these types of things, So why don't you just cut off the connection with them? Because if they want you to start a Facebook, right, or certain things, which of course they do, of course they want to put out their
No,
whatever.
Can I butt in for 1 second, Amy?
sure.
Okay, I had to step outside because there's a lot of noise in my house right now. No, a friend of mine that I knew years and years ago, he was a reservist in the Army, and right after 9/11, he was called out, and he was sent to California. Long story short, he learned Russian and he learned another language, and he was stationed at a PSYOPs installation in Iraq. And what
Right.
they were doing was they had compute. Now, keep in mind, this is right after the 1990s. So this was just early 2000s. What they had, he was a guard, but he told me a lot of the things that he saw. They had guys that would go into these cargo, they look like cargo, like those cargo bins that you would see on a cruise ship, on a ship. They would have a cargo bin with computers in it, and a guy would sit inside there. He would take a drug of some kind. I don't know what drug they gave him, but they would channel different entities to try to get different information.
Yes.
They were trying to get information of where people were, where soldiers were, what weapons were where, locations of stuff, and very specific information. And how they do that is if someone is attuned to that sort, because you got to remember.
Well, they showed me it's as easy as sending out microwave waves, and they inundate it with laser frequency and whole other stuff that I can't tell you all that. But let me tell you, yeah.
I can't explain everything, but I do know they do it. That's how they got Bin Laden, is through this PSYOPs unit that our Army has and our Navy. And my friend, he was just a guard.
Look, I'll tell you right now, on the Seattle chapter, Law of One, they posted this week a video, and someone in the video asked, "Who is she?" And they're talking about me. Now I've emailed Jim so much, and I look like a crazy person, but he's being inundated too, and he won't listen to me. And I don't. And if you listen to the Seattle thing this week, that is about me. Someone asked, "Well, who is she?" Yeah. Come on, people, don't be scared. Like, we need to talk about this. And these people are wanting to get it out.
You're right. And you know how they do that is when you're on the same wavelength that they're trying to get on, they can actually see through your eyes.
Yes, they can. That's what they've been doing. I've had people remote viewing me. Fred, I've had people remote viewing me.
That's
and
what
they
it's
wanted
called.
me to tell everybody.
I couldn't think of the term, but yes, that's what it's called. They were remote viewing pods. That's what he called them. RV and the PO.
Fred, my whole life is a lie. Like, everyone has been not nice to me. I haven't had any long-term friends, and this is why. They knew about me. And I'm sorry, but my classified name was Snowpiercer. If someone gets on the dark web and looks it up, you'll see it. I mean,
well, I don't know what you're doing, but if I were you, I would. You need to have a group of people around you who love you and surround you with love, and are able to protect you and perform some sort of a banishing ritual in order to keep that negative energy away from you.
Well,
that would be my
that's why they were hurting me when I talked last week about that joint pain. That's what they were doing to me. They were trying to inundate me with pain and stuff, because they can do that. They can make people sick, and it's right in your own communities. And
I can't even imagine what they can do.
Well, it's all about what power we give to others. We are all the one infinite creator, and we can, using fear or anger, give our power to others. And to me, at least, it sounds like the lower astral realms. So a lot of people who kind of are say neutral in between. They're not necessarily even service to self, but that they're just liked, lower chakra stuff like sex or addictions or whatever. And then when they are between lives, they spend their time viewing like rape, violence, and things like that, and then contacting anyone that they can to try to make more of the stuff that they like to see. And that this is one of the reasons that it's so critical to always challenge any entity that you contact and make sure
So
that they come in the
here's
love
the
and light of the
question.
one infinite creator.
So
And you have
why
to
are
open your
they
heart when you do that.
why are they inundating the channelers and like talking to me through them? So obviously the people channeling with Jim right now, they don't even know that that's what's happening to them.
So
I'm
this
going-
is in the LL archives. It explains this very, very common. Basically, anyone who does channeling will have these entities come to them. Like, it may start out as a little bit some positive stuff, but if you don't do the challenging, then entities that sound just like the other ones will come along and give negative information. And then you'll end up having neutral information. So that's why you always have to do the challenging. Otherwise, you'll end up having some positive, some negative. It'll end up being neutral.
So in that aspect, do we not have a responsibility to tell LL Research that they are indeed not challenging enough and they're channeling stuff that is on a lower realm?
I think that they are challenging very well, but
not if
it's
it's just
sometimes
talking to me.
Sometimes it may seem that like one of the things that the service to self entities like to do is to prop up our ego and say, oh, this is about you, oh, you're so important, oh, you're so special, and things like that. Because when you have that division, when you feel better than or lesser than another person, then you don't recognize that everyone is equal, everyone is one infinite creator.
So I have a whole collective consciousness like nursing me through my life.
So it basically, if you are kind of accept this service to self entities and what they're saying, then more of them will become attracted to you, and more of them will speak to you, and more of them will entertain you. No, I think Ed is trying to say something, but yeah, I don't know.
There's many.
He was waving a lot.
I have,
Sorry, Ed.
I have 8 hands. I have 8 hands. There's Ed, there's Trevor, there's Benny, everybody.
Okay.
So we'll start with Ed. Yes. I think Mike as well. Mike should be also next. Okay, go ahead, Ed.
Okay, I'll try and be really quick. Loads and loads of what you're talking about, every way relates to a couple of things. One, from the Voyager's material, where she's talking about how the Greys are going to try and set up this electric like field that's going to block us all from being able to connect to our higher selves. 2, look up the whole I forget the guy's name. There's this guy called Shire, I can't remember his name, but he's basically called the mind control doctor. Yeah, and basically he came up with this machine in like the 60s or whatever that could essentially put thoughts in people's heads. Now there's this big conspiracy thing where they're saying that Ra and other channeled materials beamed into their heads in the first place. So there's never been any channeled material ever. This has just been beamed into people's heads by the CIA. That is one of the theories. Now, what if you expand on that? What the theory goes on to being is they've put this in 5G towers, and now essentially they can just beam stuff into our heads anywhere on the planet straight out from whatever they want.
The article.
It's all a big conspiracy theory. I'm not the biggest fan, but if you're actually seeing these things happen, the same as what Shia Dean said 20 years ago was going to happen, and what all the conspiracy theories are saying 5G and all this Wi-Fi in the atmosphere is supposed to be doing, then hey, who are we? This is further evidence of anything. Anyway, I'm going to jump out because those people are waiting.
Yes, I'm sorry, but Ed, but that's what they said, and they're actually using it to trap souls on Earth. And they're doing it for soul manipulation now.
Mike, did you want to chip in on this subject?
Yeah,
or you had
yeah,
something
yeah.
else?
No,
Okay.
I have a few subjects now.
Okay,
Um,
but let's finish this subject because I know
yeah,
others want to carry on with this. Yes.
I know. All right. So I've been waiting a while and I've heard a few different people talk. So now I have a few things to say. Um, as far as the teachings, like about healing, it doesn't stem, it's not any different from like the teachings from Buddhism or, Christ teachings, because you have to believe that you're all abundant and you lack nothing, right? In that way, um, you have that full connection with source, and that you have a knowing of source, and that you don't ever get hurt, or you don't get sick, or you don't end up in financial problems or things like that, you know. So it all ties together. Um, and about the one who, Amy, yeah, like someone else said, like, don't ever say don't believe me or whatever, because that sounds like legit. Um, the only thing that I want to add to that is, if they ask you to bring certain things to this group, don't comply with that. Like, if they tell you to say something in here, just
Like,
don't.
say,
What?
like,
We should forgive people.
If they said, hey, you know, we are so and so and we want you to go in the group tonight and say this, just don't say it.
Well,
You know what I
we
mean?
have
Like,
to
I
check if it's from the love and light of the
whoa,
one
whoa,
infinite
whoa,
creator.
whoa. Hold on, buddy. Let me get there. Yes, when you're channeling, my question is, are they portraying raw, or are you trying to get raw? Because if it's raw, you obviously use your discernment, and, are they coming from a place of love, or are they coming from a place of ego? Is it about, so use your discernment very strongly. But the question was, are you trying to get raw, or is someone portraying raw? Because you said it was a few different people.
right. So my initial dream started off with me being given knowledge of Egyptian technology that I never knew about. And that led me to Jim and the LL Research Group. And it has been a whirlwind of sorting out emotions since then. And they said that is the reason why they came to me, because I was able to discern that stuff. Because I had people that were, I can't hardly make it out. And that's the reason why I can't really get the quote
So
unquote signal that people get. And they showed me
so
people do what they're told in front of me. Like, it's really weird.
so they come to you to ask you about something they heard, and they want to hear your discernment. I'm confused. All right, it
So what
doesn't matter. I'm just worried about them having any kind of, because you said with your own words that they even told me to come in here and say so and so. I am just worried because I don't know who they are. You
right.
seem not to know who they are. I don't want their signature in here, unless we know who they are,
Right. So
We
that's
don't
the
need
issue
that.
that's the issue we're facing, is that LL Research is channeling these people and they have challenged. And guess what? They're getting through and they're talking to me. I don't think I'm that daggone special, but they have reached out to me and been like, yes, you are, over and over and over and over, trying to reassure me. And I'm just like, okay,
I
I
fine.
would
see
really
nothing
like to,
wrong.
guys, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut in because I think that we should really get back to what this was about, and we can always discuss this at a later time.
Sure,
Um,
anyone can
the
message
only
me.
thing that I would say is for you, well, Mitch, actually, if you can want to say what you said, because that's pretty much what I'm going to, what you wrote, that's what I was going to repeat anyways. But if we can kind of get back, or Trevor, when you two could say your piece on it, because I feel like we can bring it back to the purpose of it all. But I really would suggest not channeling. I would suggest that, and I'll write you afterwards. But anybody else
Sure.
wants to go ahead and speak?
I
But I don't want to
mean,
continue this line of
I mean,
questioning on here as of right.
Sure.
let me
Uh,
say something. After that point, you know, you don't have a choice about channeling. I mean, they are going to do what they want to do,
oh,
and love isn't going to work with that shit. You just have to be funny with it. Like, you know, you just deflect it in a way that, you know, they like the stuff. But that's all I'm
They
going to tell you. So,
they
and to
to hurt me,
discuss it
and
later,
they
please.
tried. Yeah.
He also gave way to block it if could jump in again.
Okay, the next one in line would be
You
Fred.
can contact me anytime.
We have Fred, Ed, Trevor, and Mitch.
Real quick, there is another 2 chat rooms for the group. An active one for this. You guys can go ahead and do your
Okay.
heart's
Why don't we
desire.
just have one? Why do we have 3?
Because one's pertaining to law of one and people wanting to know and ask certain questions pertaining to the material. And the other one is to discuss all things that fall under these types of categories. It would be people that just want to share something with one another, or to discuss something else that might be outside of exactly this specific focus that we're supposed to be having. So that's why there's 2. Because a lot of people, I mean, there's over 2,000 people in the group, do not want to be bombarded with random sharings about certain aliens or anything else like that. And it's certain types of things. And I think that's something to respect. So once a members forum for questions, that's when I first made it and said what it was for. And the other one is to discuss anything you want to discuss without there being any, I don't have to be over there watching it, but also people know not to join that specific chat if they don't want to be subjected to these outside conversations. Does that make sense?
Uh,
All right.
Mitch?
Yeah, I just wanted to discuss a quick reminder, and I apologize, it's not really session related, but why we're all here. And I think Law 1 is one of those things that when we look at it, kind of gives us all a renewed sense of seeking and brings us all together. And in light of tonight's discussion, I feel that seeds of division are randomly popping up here. And I know I haven't been with this group long, but I've never seen that here. Never once. And I think I speak for all of us that, you know, it's a love that brings us all together. And when we hold on to that, there's really not much that we can't face in that state of grace. But when we allow ourselves to devolve into infighting over something controversial or big, the polarity of the group lessens itself. We lose focus on what we're here to discuss, and ultimately it hurts all of us. And I mean, what are negative entities attracted to? They're attracted to connections of seeking of light, right? Well, what just happened? You know, and that's so not what I've seen here. And you know, I've came back every Friday night as I could because I love what I see here and I want to see more of it. It's such a rare thing to see it in this world. So just, you know, I love all of you, and if you feel yourself getting angry, if you feel something rising up inside of you, that's okay. It's fine. It happens with all of us. But remember, we're all here seeking the same thing, and that's what, in my mind, is important.
Thank you for that.
Agree.
Honestly, I think that's a great reminder. And beautifully said, perfectly said. So
Yep.
I think it's great. I appreciate that. Trevor, please.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Very quickly, just going to add one thing that hasn't been to the previous subjects, which is that the law of confusion will distort information in order for you to be confused. And so Ra is even susceptible to saying things that he's not intending to say to the group who are channeling him, because the universe gets in the way intellectually. Let's obscure this a little bit. So you've got to remember that when we're looking at other people and they're talking about something, they're talking about themselves, and we are hearing about ourselves. But what we're hearing is different from what they're saying, because our experience is different from theirs. So just because somebody is saying something and it sounds like it's speaking of you, doesn't mean it's you. And that's a prime scenario for a negative entity to come along and go, hey, you're really important. This is about you. And it's not to say that we're not important. We are all important. We are all absolutely important. Absolutely. And like Mitch was saying, because this is a city of light, and that's what it's all about. And we need to remember that. Now I'm going to shift the subject back onto the material. And I was almost going to leave for a minute there during the midst of that because of what Mitch was talking about. Absolutely. I had a moment where I was just sitting here going, what the fuck am I doing here? Excuse my Australian. But then I remembered what I wanted to say to you all from the session. And I went, you know what, I'm going to wait and I'm going to hold my stick. And I'm going to wait until somebody gives me the opportunity to speak, because what I'm going to share with you now is something that I've been looking for years. And it's just been revealed to me today in today's material. So get ready for this. It's called tensoring technology. In the part around 7528, where they start talking about musical nature and the mathematic tones and vibrations and the music notes, and then he straight out asks Ra, hey, do you happen to know any of these notes that you could give us a hint on? And Ra says, yeah, no. And he goes, well, I just thought I'd try. Well, actually, we just so happen to do have this technology already surfacing on the planet under the name of tensoring technology, black glass technology, from a chap in the 90s in the United States, once known as, or still known as, Slim Sperlin. He's just passed on not long ago. So these are bits of, I buy copper, and I use copper because it's cheaper than silver and gold, obviously. But yeah, you can do it with whatever. But the key about these instruments is that they are mathematical tools, not copper bands. There's a big reputation around the world for copper bands and magic, but the focus of these is this one particularly here resonates at 144 megahertz, which is a very resonant number within the fields of the collective. It's one that makes the collection of unity sing and dance. And so just as being on my wrist, every time I have blood and body fluids moving through it, it's doing all sorts of transformative things to my substances as I'm wearing it. It's also having an auric effect around it. But this is not just bracelets, okay? This is where we get really exciting, because we've got harmonizers. Harmonizers are wonderful little tools that you can hold in your core while you're meditating, and you can use this to center your intention right in the core of it, which then projects you as well as it like a magnifier. Now, this is not to say that we need these. This is to say these are just like crystals. They're tools that are available to us. They're not here to replace our capacity. They're here to help us get into these things a little bit more. So I'm bringing this up not because I want people to go out there and buy them and start using them and rely on them. Do not rely on them. You are the one that's doing the magic. They are just playing a symphony in the background that gives you the ability to sing and dance with a lot more coordination because of your enthusiasm, not because of them. So they're very enlightening tools. And the effects that they have on nature, animals, people, you see it very quickly and very clearly. It's amazing stuff. And these frequencies that are talked about, the harmonic intervals that resonate with nature and sing with all of unity, they're here. This is awesome. Good stuff, everyone. Keep going. Who's next?
Fred.
Are you guys able to hear me? Okay, good. Thank you, Trevor. That actually was really awesome. I wanted to go back into the lesson that we read earlier. And this actually ties into what Amy was saying and what Trevor was saying and what Ed was saying. But they were talking about and how how suitable it is actually for this time of year that we're talking about Jesus going to Jerusalem on donkey, and everyone saying, you know, Hosanna, Hosanna. When she was in mass singing, this is my understanding. There's a misnomer in the mass song, meaning that he wasn't being praised the way that the song portrayed it, that he was being praised. That is what kind of put a chink in the truth of what had happened when he was coming to Jerusalem. The Sadducees and the Pharisees did not want him doing what he was doing. They hated him. He was paid by the priesthood, or they were paid by the priesthood to denounce him, to say horrible things about him, to lie, and to try and get people riled up to be angry and hate on him. I mean, you remember what happened? He was crucified. They killed him. They murdered him. So when she sang the part of the song in her spirit being lifted to the point of feeling the love and feeling the things that she was feeling, and the words that was being said, his words are very important. Like they were talking about the Sanskrit and the vowel enunciations being, the vibrations being attuned to certain frequencies to do certain things. Once she did that and it was wrong, she was out of sync because what she was singing wasn't the actual truth. She didn't know that. This is just how she felt at the time. She felt love, and she was singing the song. That is when the negative entity can come in and start to give information that screws everything up. Kind of like how you don't even have to you don't even have to lie. You don't have to make anybody do anything. All you have to do is make people angry, and you just depolarize the whole situation. And now the positive goes negative just because you depolarize it. They did their job, they'll walk away. And that's kind of how I'm seeing how the negative entity got their toe in the door with trying to take Carla's life. And seeing that makes me think that my understanding of channeling being dangerous is not underestimated. Channeling is very, very dangerous. You can die. It is not something to take lightly. So when you have someone that is not completely surrounded with love and light, and you're, I guess, maybe not doing those banishing rituals where you are only allowing positive energy in, and making sure that everyone around, and you have to have people around you. It's not just one person that can be doing this. You have to have multiple people around you. That is why it says in the Bible, they have 3 or more gathered in my name, I am there. That is what he is saying. You need people, more than one of us, to need to be present for any channeling, for any type of response or energy being brought in, to make sure that we're all safe. Because I love all of you guys. I would not want anyone to have anything negative or get hurt because of something you were trying to channel by being positive. Because that's what you're doing. You're being positive and you're trying to do something good. And then you have one little chink. It's all it takes is one chink in your armor, one chink, one weak spot in that tank, and that's where the enemy knows to hit you. And that's what they're going to do. And they're going to do it every time. And the higher your positive energy is, Carla was attracting 5th density negative entity. Holy shit. That's how many of those are there? Probably all very, very few. And she attracted one. So that means that, yes, she was doing something very good and loving and positive, but she needed protection, and she had it. And thank goodness that she was protected, and everything ended up well for the remainder of the channeling. But that's one thing I wanted to point out, and I want to make sure that everyone understands how how actually serious channeling is. Have utmost respect for anyone who considers themselves adept enough to channel. I do not consider myself adept enough to channel. I have seen channeling. It scared the living hell. I've never been so scared in my life as when I've seen someone channel. But you know, it's actually something dangerous. You have to make sure that you have people who love you or are close to you and are helping you when you do that. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you, Fred. So yeah, just quickly.
You're muted, Andre.
Oh, I'm muted. You can't hear me? No.
I can hear you fine, Andre.
Oh, okay. You can hear me? Okay, great. Okay, thanks. So yeah, my interpretation of what happened there with the Hosanna was that she was thinking about how beautiful it was that Jesus decided to become a martyr, and then that identification with becoming a martyr was the chink, because then the service to self-entity wanted to exploit it and be like, oh, you want to die? Oh, well, I'll give you that opportunity. So I think that's what it was, but that's personal.
I think it was a combination of things.
Yeah, everything is complicated. but yeah, my main thing that I wanted to talk about is that I really liked 75, 33, and 34, which is some of my favorite passages in the channeling material about the antennae or the long hair. And I one of the reasons I love this is because there's so much evidence backing this up, where they're saying that having hair that's at least, well, like 4 to 1.5 inches, it's 11 centimeters basically, at least 11 centimeters. And then that gives you additional spiritual benefits. And then if we look around the world, this is true. Like all of the sadhus, which are kind of the spiritual people in India, they all have long hair, or the vast majority of them. And then like all of the bodhisattvas, and then the Sikh people. And then the Sikh people are known to be the most militarily successful people in the world. And even 21 Sikh men managed to hold off an army of 10,000 soldiers for over like 6 hours or something. It was just inhuman. Like the casualty was like 20 to 1 or something. So having long hair is really, really beneficial. And they had lots of studies on this. I'll put in a link. I made a whole compilation of it. Anyways, I just wanted to share how wonderful that is. And so yeah, if you have the ability to grow some hair, I would encourage it, but it doesn't matter either way. We love you anyways. Okay, thank you. Good. And I think who's next? Becca, I believe. But she put her hand down, so I don't.
No, it's Becca. Yes.
I had a whole list going on.
I had a question. It doesn't have to do with, it has to do with material, but not necessarily material. I don't know if anybody else has these books, but I'm noticing that there's like chunks of information that's missing from them, because I got completely lost during the reading, and that's not the first time that's happened. And the verbiage is completely different. Has anybody run into that?
I'm sorry, honey, I couldn't hear what
There's several different versions. Some of the older versions don't have all of the questions. If you, I think the most recent one is the black books. There's like a set of 5. That one has all the updated information, but they did miss some of the questions and answers in the original prints due to misprints and just forgetting to write them down and that kind of stuff.
Okay, that was my question. Didn't have anything to do with anything else. Oh. Thank you.
Mike, you're next.
It was actually nice to hear your voice. Slow down. She's gonna kill me, guys. I can't even. I am like literally about to have a heart attack. I'm so physically sick because I get car sick when people like do this shit. Pray for me. So no, this miserable face because I'm trying not to die.
Not or tomorrow. Not on my watch.
Yeah, like I'm even on your watch. Get the hell
You're
out
on
of here.
my watch.
Yeah, you're like my child. I gotta be over here. Pressing the gas pedal that the parents press. Sorry. Does anybody have anything else they want to actually address?
Well, I haven't
that came
even
from
like
reading?
said anything yet
Perhaps
before
think-
you interrupted me.
There's
There's
Mike
did?
and then
two
Ed.
people.
Who
Yeah,
interrupted
I
there's
was
you?
Mike
called
and Ed.
on.
Yeah.
I was
I
called
need
on.
everyone to calm down. There's like a negative thing going on here, and that's not how this goes. I don't understand
That's
what it is.
yes.
I didn't interrupt anyone because no one else was speaking. I would be more than happy to let you talk if you have something you want to bring up.
I'm saying I was told to speak, and then you spoke, and
By
then
who? By who? Because last time I'm the host in this here
who
room.
said Mike?
I
Go?
gave
Who
Suzanne
said Mike?
I
Go?
did.
when I was
Susanna did.
Susanna, yeah.
Okay,
Desiree,
good. All right, I gave it to Susanna. Yep.
We
Thank
need
you,
one
Susanna.
leader.
Please continue.
One leader would help. One leader.
Mike,
Yes. All right. That's what I wanted
please
to.
go
I
forward with
wanted.
what
I
you were
wanted
gonna
to
ask.
touch. I'm trying to. All right. One thing I wanted to bring up is what you said. You know, I understand. I feel like I came across in a way I didn't mean to, but just understand that I'm very passionate with learning. You know, with truth and like I feel like, you know, after a minute, I was like, I think I came across the wrong way because because that puts negative waves into something you don't want, like, you know, like what was just said. So I wanted to apologize to anyone who thought I was being, like bitchy, I guess, you know, and then I originally, real quick, you know, a couple people were like, what the fuck am I doing here? And then they, you know, they realize, you know, what they're getting out of it. And I feel like we're all there. I feel like we're all like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like even, you know, even Des, who created it, like she didn't know what to, you know, no one knows what to expect. We're all creating this together, you know, like we don't know what this is yet, you know, and it's like, you know, we come together and we're one entity. And what is that entity? You know, it's being built, you know. But that's all I wanted to say. So I'll put my hand down.
Okay, Ed.
Hello. Oh, waiting patiently. I have to say, I don't know why everybody's got so worked up. I think, you know, there's been a lot of good in this session. You know, you guys are wonderful. I have so much love for everyone. Like, I don't know why anyone's stressed out. This is awesome. We're all you know, learning here, right? Okay, so I have a few little bits I've been storing up as we've gone along. First off, back to Amy and the CIA beaming, you know, like not other self shit into your head. Okay, so I put a link on there to this guy, Ashaya. I can't bloody pronounce his name, but he's the guy that came up with this technology that apparently does it. But about halfway in, he started one of the things channeling Tom. Yeah. And I think that basically the stuff he learned from the Tom channeling completely changed his whole thing. And he didn't really want to help the CIA be mind controllers anymore. So from that point on, when you actually look, he goes a completely different way in his whole career and completely away from what he started off doing. So right at the end, just before someone pushed him down some stairs, he came up with a device that could basically protect you from this CIA impact. And it's really, really simple because the way that they say that it all works is they're beaming us with electromagnetic radiation that they can control. Yeah. Now, all we need to do is realign with the Earth's magnetic principles rather than the electromagnetic ones that they're putting on us. And essentially, it can't affect you. It creates like a magnetic field around you. So what he says is he says to get a specific size magnet and put a quartz crystal in the middle. Yeah, this basically the synthetic resonance, which is crazy because Ra talked about it earlier on. The sympathetic resonance is basically when if you get two crystals and hit them together, or you get one and you tap it and hold another one next to it, it will start to vibrate at the same resonance as the one you're holding. Yeah, purely because the sound waves will make both of them vibrate at the same resonance. Yeah. So if you get this magnet, with a crystal inside it. That will basically align your magnetic field, and the CIA can't put thoughts in your brain no matter how hard they try. So just do it. Magnet, crystal in the middle, you'll be safe. Forget about their silly brainwashy shit. You are then free to contact your higher self and any actual entities of peace and love and everything that you might need, so that you never have to worry about this shit again. If it is negative entities, beam love at them. Don't worry about it. Anyway, moving on. Back to what Trevor said. Just Trevor saying cool things about the spiral metal and you know, the resonance going across those, because that's mind-blowingly cool shit, man. I'm going to make myself one of them. How do I test the resonance along it? But to speak on that, one of the things I always have on me, which I kind of view as a very similar thing to like a banishing ritual that I carry around, is an Atlantis ring. Right now, if you've never heard of these, it's a very, very simple geometric pattern that essentially has sacred geometries going into the center of the ring from the different points that are channeled into it. It has 3 pyramids on each side and a triangular pyramid base, which channels the energy round. And these things, these lines here basically create polarity to give you a spinning circle. So it acts like a defensive thing, in a metaphysical sense. It channels energies, and it's like a magic wand and defensive shield you wear on your finger. So everyone look into them because they're awesome. Once again, like Trevor was saying, seriously, that I love all that kind of stuff. Seriously, that was cool. Okay, the other thing that coming from that and the sympathetic resonance thing is when Ra talked about how the different languages and all the different kind of vowel sounds and that people use essentially cause this same vibration going outwards. That is like, I think that what he says is, what is it? Creation sings. Like, that is such a beautiful thing. Like, you get a crystal, you hit it, you put another crystal next to it, it sings at the same resonance at that crystal. So that same idea, that when you put out a thought, anything at all, an emotion, a feeling, a word, a sound, all of this, you create this vibration throughout the everything is this sympathetic resonance to what you're creating. Anyway, moving on. Can I just say, this whole session with all the kind of weirdnesses and the kind of convoluted bits and backwards and forwards to the session, right? I think that it's been a real show of kind of love, power, and wisdom, right? Which is like the whole thing he was talking about with the the triangle, with the love, power, wisdom being the kind of 3 elements of the magical self. I think that we've all portrayed parts of all of those in this this lovely little interaction. So yeah, just thought that was my little observation. Love you all. Honestly, I'm gonna go back to like making funny hand signals and like
I love you too.
waiting my turn like a good boy.
What was
I
the
love you
name of
all.
that
We
ring?
love you too, Ed.
What was the name of the ring? The ring.
Atlantis ring.
An Atlantis ring. It's also called the Luxor ring. Google it. It's really cool. The first one was found in an ancient Egyptian high priest's tomb. Yeah, and basically out of all this stuff, they had all this gold and all this crazy stuff around. This little clay ring was sitting there on a pedestal on its own. Yeah, like it had more power than all the gold and all this crazy stuff in the room. So the French guy that got it, he took it and he gave it to the guy who opened up Tutankhamun's tomb. Yeah, now that had like the big curse on it, and basically everybody died, right? The only person that was on the main team that didn't die was wearing this ring. And then after that, it got given over to this French guy that did all these experiments. And apparently you can make this structure out of wood. You can lay it out flat, make it out of wood, put a metal ball on the top, and the ball will start to turn due to purely the geometric patterns made out of wood. There's nothing to make it magnetic, but just those patterns create some kind of physical force that changes the magnetism and the rotation. Anyway, look it up. Love you guys. Don't want to make any more time. Everyone's got other stuff to say. Love you all. You're all amazing. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, Mitch.
So 2 things I thought really interesting in this channeling. Well, one was interesting, one was just kind of funny to me. They're talking about invoking the magical personality, and Ra mentions that just as importantly as putting on some sort of special ceremonial garment is at the end doing something to take it off, to allow the 6th density self to return to doing what it is the 6th density self does. And if you're not doing that, you're basically tying it up with part of that working and kind of preventing it from being there and informing you and helping you out. Or at least that's what I took from it. The other thing that I thought was just really funny was Ra talking about one keeping their eye on the game sphere. And, the first time I read through it, it hitting me that he was literally talking about a baseball. I just thought it was funny.
All right, cool. And I wanted to open it up to someone who hasn't spoken today, like Gwen or Mesha. If you guys want to say something, now's your chance because we only have a few more minutes left.
This is Misha. It's my second time joining this group.
Okay.
And I really feel for myself that the love that I've learned from Ra about connecting back to source and, serving others is really what attracts me and why I'm here. It's really what I want to do, and I'm diligently committed to it. Thank you all. That's it.
Thank you.
I actually would like to just say something. This is my first time speaking. This whole pandemic and this Zoom business has not been something that's been comfortable for me. So I just take in a lot. But I wanted to share from my heart to thank you, Mike, for the prayer, because it brought me to tears with gratitude for the presence that this group has brought to me when I've gone through a lot in my life recently to re-find my soul. And thank you, everyone, for your presence and for your love that you bring to this and the dynamic that even tonight brought each and every one of us. So thank you each. It means a lot, and I love you all.
We love you. Thank you for being authentic.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna try it out.
All right.
Well, damn, this thing has been all over the place tonight, but look where it always ends up back to, no matter what.
Love.
And it ends in, it not ends, it's not ending yet, maybe soon. I can't tell what time it is, but it always comes. I love that this camaraderie, this bringing together, and this really love, heart focus. Even when we want to choke each other, when it seems like we want to choke each other. Just kidding. Just kidding. I only think about that sometimes. I'm joking, guys. Jesus. I just love that it always comes back to the someone says something and it brings us all back together. I think it's beautiful. It says a lot about the dynamic that we have built in here. Things are gonna happen, people bump heads and stuff. It's normal. We're human beings, Sometimes we have bad days, sometimes we have things that happen, but there is something extremely special about everybody in here and how it's just even the last couple of months shown how everything kind of comes together, and we've been there for each other support, and it really is like a true I don't know, beautiful dynamic and real love in here, and I'm thankful for all of you. All right, so get over. Sorry, I have to redirect traffic again.
Right.
Could I say something?
Go ahead, Fred.
I just want to thank everybody for bearing with me. I know I had a lot to say in a few minutes, but I just want to say I know I saw Cherie said in the chat that she's going to continue channeling. I have so much respect for those of you who channel. I myself, I do not feel comfortable with it, therefore I don't want to do it. But I do want to say this: if anyone is going to channel, I don't know how, but say maybe something in the group of the time that you're going to, and those of us that are available to meditate and send you love and send you light and that can, the more people, the better. And with this group, there's so much love in this group, and everyone cares about each other here, and everyone sees each other's struggles and sees all the things that we're going through. Everyone has our own things that we do for the creator. I would say that would be in my idea a in my mind, a good idea for us to be able to have a group of us that at any time you can post, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be channeling for an hour. If anyone's available to send their love and energy through meditation and prayer, please do so. And I guarantee you, even if there's only 2 or 3 of us available at that time and that day, you will have support and energy, and that would be a phenomenal influence to keep negative away. And that's what we want to do. Keep the negative away and keep the positive during these channelings, so that we get the proper information that we're actually seeking, and not something that's tainted through with a negative flavor. Does that make any sense?
Yes, and I agree. And feel free just to put it in the Law of One group, that you are going to be channeling, and we can do all that, and there are many people in here, in this Zoom here, who could help you on the side, if you get questions, or they like Desiree knows a lot about it, and there's a lot in that you can get from us, so yes.
All right. Was there anything else someone wanted to share, especially related to the material or positive love light, before Robert does the closing?
We haven't heard much from Robert tonight.
Oh, okay.
Robert's watching and observing his brilliant mind, and he is taking all the details of everything. Trust me, that mind is working. You can tell. Look at him.
He's an owl.
He is
Well,
like,
thank you for that.
ugly. He's just paying attention. And
No, everyone here has a, wonderful viewpoint. It was awesome to hear from, Amy, your story is amazing. And Becca, good to hear from you. And Gwen, finally got to hear Gwen's voice. There she is. But yeah, it's awesome hearing all of you. I don't speak much because I am enjoying listening. It's good to be a listener also. Thank you for questioning. Like last week, I was way too tired. I was wiped out. I feel like my energy was being drained from me. There was a vampire hanging on to me somewhere. That's what it felt like. But I'm much better now. The wonders of caffeine.
A word from the wise.
Yeah. But I wanted to saying to Amy and others, if you're going to be doing anything which could be problematic to your well-being, such as opening yourself up to channeling, and if you would like the group's help or protection or even guidance, I don't know, but there, as I've mentioned in a previous session, I for my personal self, I set up agreements with Creator to have a more or less permanent layer of protection, we'll call it. And it's an agreement that I hold to Creator because I am Creator and I'm believing it to be true. And if you would like me to help you, if you're accepting of that from me, I will do that for you also. In my way, in my own personal way, I offer that magic for you. Any one of you that are hearing this right now. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Robert.
I'm sorry, I didn't know I was unmuted, so I apologize that that it came out like I was interrupting your speaking. So please forgive me. I didn't mean that. Then I just happened to look and see that I wasn't muted. Sorry.
All right. So, oh, go ahead.
It seems like that kind of wraps everything up. It's what, 6:55. So what's that? 8:50? No. What time is it, guys?
9:55. It's almost 10.
Yep. So, Robert,
Yes. And I also, I saved the chat from these sessions. So if you do comment like directly to me, I'm having that, I'm saving that. So I'll see that. So thank you. As tonight's closing, I would like to express how, as I'm experiencing total body chills right now from the amazing energy I've seen this week, how the synchronicities we experience when we are becoming ever so closer to Creator. When I ask a question of a friend and the answer I get is from someone who I've never met on Facebook, they never even knew the question and yet they offered the answer. And it's just amazing how these synchronicities are occurring. And Facebook is one of those vehicles that is on our side. It is a very powerful part of our growing collective soul, our growing collective memory complex unit, social memory complex. And I'm thankful for all these energies we have together as in this group. The Creator is so amazing with its diversity. She is beautiful. She is wise. This is an amazing thing. Thank you, Desiree, for being with us this evening in your car in California. I do not envy you. I do not envy being there.
risking my life with this woman driving.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm not even kidding, guys. I have almost died 10 times. Luckily, I know that it's not my time. Otherwise, I'd really give in to that fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I moved away
I
from
appreciate
the
your
West.
patience with me, guys.
I had to move to a town of 13,000 people so I wouldn't see that kind of driving anymore. Yeah. But
I want to move to the woods where I don't have to use a vehicle ever and be alone. I would love that.
Thank you, Creator, for being with us with all these expressions of people with their names and their energies and their loves. May we all go forward from this point onward, ever increasing in love and light. May it enwrap us and bathe us all of the minutes of our days. And I wish you all the great synchronicities that I've been experiencing. And we are doing it together because we are basically of one mind. So thank you. And so it is.
Thank you, Robert. And so it is. And so it will be.
We leave you, therefore, in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite Creator.
Good night, guys.
Good night,
Well
everyone.
said. Have a great evening.
Love you guys.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Right.